Land, further, Madam Speaker, land for the future development of Chipata, Solwezi, and Mongo airports has been secured. Madam Speaker, to ease the movement of people and goods and facilitate trade, we have been undertaking border infrastructure development. These include Kazungola, Mwami, Uchinji, and Akonde borders have all been turned into one-stop border posts. Further facilities at Chirundu, one border post will be upgraded. Katimamulilo and Kasumbalesa all are aimed to be upgraded, including others at Janida, Sakania, Sikongo, and Zombe. All these to be done under PPP, Madam Speaker. Further, Madam Speaker, on the water transport, government has completed the construction of Nchelenga Harbour, while works at Zambia are at 9% completed. Looking ahead, government plans to develop other harbour infrastructure at Siabonga, Chipepo, Sinazongwe, and Shangombo in 2026. Let me say something about tourism, Madam Speaker. This is a sector that has seen remarkable progress. Madam Speaker, international arrivals for tourism. International arrivals in tourism. In 2022, we had 1.1 million arrivals. Last year, 2024, Madam Speaker, the arrivals doubled to 2.2 million. This improvement reflects the bold measures we took, such as stronger international marketing and visa waivers in the most important markets. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to say that domestic tourism has also flourished. As at end 2024, we recorded 530 visitors to our tourism sites in the country. Within tourism, Madam Speaker, very interesting statistics here again. Hotel occupants has seen a boost, with the Livingston hotels reporting 70% occupants compared to only 40% in 2023. And the average length of stay, Madam Speaker, is also increased to 5 days from 3 in the past, signaling increased interest. Madam Speaker, another interesting sector, also very important, please pay attention here. In the manufacturing sector, I'm happy to report that the sector is among those that have attracted huge investments of over $4 billion. The multi-facility economic zones have attracted some of these investments. Madam, as at end 2021, the Lusaka South MFES had 17 operational companies with an investment portfolio of $264 million and over 7,000 jobs. In 4 years, Madam Speaker, in 4 years, meaning now, those investments have jumped from $264 million to $1.4 billion. From 20 companies with jobs over 31,000 created. Major investment in the zone. And Madam Speaker, these are verifiable facts. Anyone can go in the Lusaka multi-facility economic zone and check for yourself some of the major investments that have happened there. We have ceramic factories in the Lusaka MFES. We have steel factories in Lusaka MFES. We have a starch factory in Lusaka MFES. We have a milk processing factory in Circumference. We have copper rods. We have electric cables. We have conductors, pharmaceutical products, all happening today in the Lusaka Malt Facility. Madam Speaker, the Jiangxi Malt Facility Economic Zone in Chivombo. This has also attracted investment in excess of 128 million. What do you see there, Madam Speaker? In the Chivombo Malt Facility Economic Zones, batteries are being manufactured, batteries are being recycled, copper cables are being manufactured, and more than 1,100 jobs created in the Chivombo MPhase. Madam Speaker, there are other MPhases like in Kalulushi, ZCCS, we have Kalumbila MPhase, and all these we are pushing very hard to have investments coming in. To attract similar and more investments, Madam Speaker, the government has declared new economic zones. These include the wonderful Group Industrial Park in Chilanga, Mukoni Malt Facility Economic Zone in Kazungula, Monze Malt Facility Economic Zone in Monze, and the Golden Baobab Malt Facility Economic Zone in Kafue, with a total investment of $3 billion, creating over 13,000 jobs. Madam Speaker, here's another interesting statistic. I'm happy to report that all essential machinery for the Zambia-China Molungushi textiles has been received and is now being installed in the readiness for commencement. Kawe, here we come. Madam Speaker, as you recall, this factory is one where promise after promise, visit after visit, and photographic sessions after photographic sessions were conducted, but nothing was done. Now it is happening, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on the small and medium enterprise development, since 2022, the New Dawn administration has empowered over 103,000 individuals and about 9,800 micro, small, and medium enterprises. With regards to Citizens Economic Empowerment Fund, government has in the last 4 years empowered more than 83,000 beneficiaries under various schemes. Madam, government has made significant efforts to address challenges faced by small and medium enterprises and farmers in accessing affordable finance. As at the end of August 2025, a total of more than 19,000 small and medium enterprises had benefited from the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme. Madam Speaker, we are not only empowering our citizens economically, but also building the capacity of the local businesses to compete. On information and communication technology, Madam Speaker, government has prioritized the construction of communication towers in underserved and unserved areas. Going forward, government remains committed to ensuring that communication towers are constructed to strengthen e-governance and digital services. Madam, to provide digital services to underserved and unserved areas, government has since 2023 deployed 525 Starlink kits to 230 government departments, all 156 constituent offices, 109 post offices, 23 youth resources, and other public institutions. Madam Speaker, to improve public service delivery, government continued to roll out government-wide network to public institutions. So far, 93 local authorities, 79 district administration officers, and 29 schools have been connected. So, Madam, everything I've said so far was what is going to happen to push the agenda of job creation and economic growth. I now move to the policies that address human and social development. Starting with education and skills. Madam, government's commitment to uplifting education is unquestionable. This is reflected in our commitment to provide free education, provide teaching and learning requisites, and recruit human capital and develop infrastructure. Madam, the introduction of free education in 2022 has lifted the burden of school fees from millions of families. We've witnessed an increase of about 2.3 million learners in primary and secondary schools, particularly benefiting girls and vulnerable children. Madam Speaker, just to repeat, because this statistic is very important, we have witnessed, and since the free education policy started, we have witnessed an increase of 2.3 million learners in our schools. Madam Speaker, before the free education policy, these 2.3 million learners would have been languishing without education. Now they are back in school. To complement free education, Madam Speaker, government has scaled up homegrown school feeding programs, which now, the school feeding programs now reaches 4.6 million learners in 116 districts. So, Madam Speaker, these children in school, 4.6 million of them are fed by their government to make sure that they can learn properly. In 2026, the number of districts is going to be expanded where the feed program is going to be expanded from 106 districts to 116. In other words, to all the districts in the country. This program is provided every child an opportunity to access education and remain in school regardless of their background. Madam Speaker, to improve the quality of education, government has since 2022 recruited 42,000 teachers. This year, Madam Speaker, this year, 2025, we are recruiting an additional 2,000 teachers. And Madam Speaker, next year, just to make sure that we have enough teachers, an additional 3,500 teachers will be recruited. So 2,000 teachers this year, 3,500 teachers this year. Madam Speaker, one wonders, before the UPND government, what were the children learning in school in the absence of teachers? Madam Speaker, in addition, because, Madam Speaker, our children used to sit on the floor, in addition, 1.6 million desks across the country. 1.6 million desks across the country, out of which 42% were procured from our own local suppliers using CDF. Those have been procured. Madam Speaker, in my last address, I informed this House that there had been so many high schools, Madam Speaker, that were abandoned for 10 years without completion. So many that were abandoned all over the country. So last year, as we continue to address this problem of abandoned high schools, last year I informed this House that 317 secondary schools were under construction across the country. I'm happy to report that 151 were completed last year and 46 scheduled for completion this year. The remaining 120 will be completed in 2026. So, Madam Speaker, schools that were abandoned for 10 years, schools that were Madam Speaker, to improve infrastructure at our universities and transform the learning environment, government will complete the construction of hostel blocks at the Copperbelt University and the University of Zambia in 2026. Works at other public universities are progressing well. Madam, to align the education system...
Honorable Member for Bahati, please leave the House, go and laugh. When you are done, you can come back. Honorable Member for Bahati, you've been laughing through and through. No, Bahati, the one seated near Chirubi, Honorable Member for Chirubi. Yes, Honorable Member for Milengi. Please leave the House, go and laugh. When you are done, you can come back.
Madam, to align the education system with the demands of the labor market, government is implementing the 2023 revised curriculum. This is being done in a phased approach with full rollout expected in 2029. Madam, in the area of skills development, government has since 2022 provided bursaries. Since 2022, government has provided 8,212 students and trained 210,212 students in institutions. In 2026, government is going to provide bursaries to 6,000 students and train 100,000 youth in better skills. In the area of health, Madam Speaker, our focus is on achieving universal health coverage and provision of quality health services through the recruitment of health personnel, provision of medicine, medical supplies, as well as infrastructure development. Madam Speaker, since 2022, government has undertaken massive recruitment of health personnel, with 18,305 hired and an additional 2,000 to be hired by the end of this year. So before the end of this year, 2,000 additional health workers. The increase in the recruitment of health personnel has contributed to improved health service delivery. To consolidate the gains in the sector, government will recruit in 2026 another 2,500. Madam Speaker, since assuming office, the New Dawn administration has completed the construction of 282 health facilities nationwide, 7 at level 1 hospitals, 101 main hospitals, 33 health centers, and 131 health posts. To further increase access to health services, government has commenced under Phase 2 the construction of 5 Level 1 hospitals in Choma, Kabwe, Monde, Solwezi, and Zambezi, and 120 mini hospitals across the country. In 2026, government using CDF will continue to construct maternity annexes across the country. Madam, last year I informed this House that government will commence the construction of the Ndola Cancer Treatment Center and modernization of the Cancer Disease Hospital in Lusaka. And I wish to report that we have made progress. The Ndola Cancer Treatment Center is at 75%, while the modernization of the Cancer Hospital in Lusaka stands at 40%. Government, Madam Speaker, to ensure the availability of medicines and medical supplies in the health facilities, government has continued to procure essential medicines and medical supplies. As at end June 2025, Madam Speaker, essential drugs availability significantly increased to 90% for health centers compared to 46% in 2021. So, in 2021, medicine availability was at 46%. This year, availability is at 90%. Madam Speaker, in addition, government is strengthening measures to eliminate pilferage. Our commitment to provision of essential drugs and medicines remains strong. To improve patient record management in public health facilities, government will continue to implement the Smart Care Pro system. This system has significantly contributed to efficient patient information exchange across all public health institutions. Water and sanitation, Madam Speaker, since 2021, government has drilled more than 2,000 boreholes, rehabilitated 671 nationwide, and built 491 piped water schemes, benefiting over 687,000 people in rural areas. Further, the number of people saved with water supply increased by 517,000, while sanitation services increased by almost 740,000. We are also constructing 168 modern waterborne sanitation facilities in schools, health and centers, markets and bus stations. As a result of these interventions, incidences of waterborne diseases such as cholera has drastically reduced. Madam, major water supply projects completed in the past 4 years include Flafuta water supply system, benefiting over 1 million residents on the Copperbelt province, and the Kazungula water supply and sanitation project, benefiting over 20,000. Madam, the sector has also made concerted efforts towards improving operational efficiency. I think this point is important to note, but towards improving operational efficiency. The operational efficiency includes installation of worn-out pipes. These have resulted in a reduction of water wastage from 57% to 54%. Further, 57% of solar-powered pumps contributed to the reduction of the cost. These measures create a strong foundation towards the attainment of universal access to water. But there are challenges, Madam Speaker. The challenges is that there is an increasing gap between the cost of providing water and the average tariff the average cost of producing a cubic meter of water, Madam Speaker, the average cost of producing a cubic meter of water currently stands at 18 kwacha. So a cubic meter, to produce it, you spend 18 kwacha. But when that is sold, it is only sold for 7 kwacha, 19 kwe. So therefore, there's a gap between the cost of producing water and the revenue that is collected, and that revenue, the cubic meter, is 10 kwacha, 10 kwe, or cumulatively 1.3 billion kwacha. Clearly, we need to do something here, undertaking reforms, because otherwise there will be no sustainable supply of water. So we need to do something that we need to discuss as a country. How do we eliminate this gap between the costs of supplying water and the revenue? Madam, to unlock the potential of the water and sanitation sector and attract private sector, there is therefore need to undertake structural and fiscal reforms, as I have just said. On social protection, Madam Speaker, to safeguard the poor and vulnerable, government will continue to increase and broaden social security coverage through programs such as social cash transfer, food security pack, and girls' education and women's empowerment livelihood. Madam, to support the livelihoods of vulnerable, government has in the past 4 years increased the number of beneficiary households under the social cash transfer to 1.3 million beneficiaries from 895,000 in 2021. In 2026, government will further increase the number of beneficiaries to 1.5 million households, impacting over 8.4 million people. This is indeed a caring government. And Madam Speaker, this money then gets stolen en masse, is delivered to the beneficiaries. To support vulnerable but viable farmers, government will increase food security packs beneficiaries to more than 320,000 from the current 244,000. Madam, with regard to girls' education and women empowerment and livelihood program, 317,608 girls and women were supported under Phase 1. This year, government launched Phase 2 of the program to benefit 1.5 million vulnerable households. Madam Speaker, to safeguard our retirees from falling into destitution, government has continued to liquidate pension benefits. Over the past 4 years, more than 8.6 billion has been released, enabling 11,921 retirees to be fully cleared. This intervention reduced the average waiting period for pension payments from over 3 years to 3 months in 2023. However, due to the resource problem caused by the impact of the drought last year and the resumption of external debt servicing, the waiting period has unfortunately risen to an average of 1 year. Despite these challenges, government has continued to release funds, and we hope to get back to 3 months in the near future. Madam, our firm commitment is to further enhance pension benefits to public service workers by building sustainable and resilient pension system. To this end, government has embarked on comprehensive pension reforms, which include the introduction of an occupational pension scheme for public workers. These reforms are designed to resolve financing challenges and ensure that public pension funds are sustainable. Madam Speaker, in 2024, the government introduced the Cash for Work program to caution our citizens from the adverse effects of the drought. Under the program, over 2.4 million beneficiaries have been recruited and empowered. The program has provided income-generating opportunities to vulnerable individuals in exchange for cash wages. In 2026, Madam Speaker, government will reform the program and address some of the challenges experienced and improve targeting. To leave no one in doubt, Cash for Work program continues in 2026. Madam, government is developing a national social registry to streamline social protection and human capital development. This registry will help in the administration and also sometimes in terms of avoiding double dipping by beneficiaries. So that was the second pillar of the National Development Plan. We've done economic growth and job creation. We've just finished social development. We now go to the third pillar under environmental sustainability. What are we going to do next year? Madam Speaker, over the past 4 years, government has been promoting sustainable development and environmental protection by enhancing the regulatory framework, advancing green financing, and investing in weather climate services. This has made the country attractive in the global carbon market. Madam, following the development of the forest carbon regulation and green bond guidelines, 105 million has been raised through the issuance of green bonds. These funds have been invested in solar projects in Riverside and Itimpi in Kitwe, resulting in generation of 34 megawatts and 60 respectively. Government has also been implementing the emission reduction program, a mechanism through which participating groups and communities are provided with monetary rewards for conserving natural resources. So far, 56 chiefdoms in Eastern Province are participating. Further, 359 community forest groups across the country have been designated over 10 million hectares as forest management areas. To strengthen our national capacity for climate resilience, government has installed 250 automatic weather stations and 300 rainfall stations within agricultural camps across the country. These facilities transmit real-time data to enable timely and accurate monitoring of weather. Madam Speaker, environmental pollution remains one of the most pressing challenges of our time. In particular, the indiscriminate disposal of plastics has become a major source of land and water contamination, threatening ecosystems and health systems. To address this problem, I will be announcing fiscal measures to discourage excessive use of plastics so that environmental friendly alternatives are used. Madam, equally, the unregulated use of mercury and other hazardous chemicals in mining activities poses danger, poisoning rivers, soils, and affecting communities. These measures to stop this include strengthening enforcement against illegal mining, promoting mercury-free gold processing technologies, and enhancing awareness of campaigns on the dangers. I move on to good governance, the last pillar of the 8th National Development Plan. Madam Speaker, government has been strengthening the policy, legal and institutional framework for good governance, as well as enhancing the rule of law, human rights, constitutionalism, and fight against corruption. This is being achieved through reforms such as fiscal consolidation and debt management. As far as fiscal consolidation is concerned, we have achieved in the last 4 years as a result of significant legislative and administrative reforms that we have implemented. Madam Speaker, contraction of debt is now required to be approved by Parliament, and financing of infrastructure projects is mostly through PPPs. With regard to administrative reforms, we have rolled out the information and financial management systems across government, implemented the smart invoicing system, expanded the government service bus, implemented the state-owned enterprise policy, and introduced the fiscal management framework. Madam, to further reduce budget deficit and consolidate fiscal sustainability, revenue mobilization will be strengthened and the resources channeled to areas with maximum impact. Madam Speaker, to address prevailing gaps in tax system, Government in 2026 will formulate the medium-term revenue strategy. The objective is to broaden the tax base and strengthen compliance. Madam, to simplify and harmonize tax administration procedures, Government will in this session present the Tax Administration Bill. And Madam, to improve the performance of state-owned enterprises, Government revised the state-owned enterprise policy. The policy aims at strengthening good corporate governance as well as enhancing fiscal performance. Furthermore, Government is developing state-owned enterprises bill, which will be presented to this House in this session. Regarding the fight against corruption, Government is amending the Anti-Corruption Act. This is aimed at strengthening the independence of the Anti-Corruption Commission and enhance anti-corruption enforcement. To increase transparency, the Government will amend the Companies Act to strengthen provisions on beneficial ownership by requiring the disclosure of ultimate owners of companies. Madam Speaker, on debt management, on your assuming office, this administration made a commitment to restructure our external debt and chart the path to debt sustainability. We are delivering on this commitment, Madam Speaker. So far, we've reached agreement on debt treatment for approximately 94% of the debt within the restructuring perimeter. This is a demonstration of our commitment to restore public debt sustainability. The various challenges that this process has faced, commitment through addressing the challenges. In this regard, I wish once again to thank creditors for being strong partners in the structuring process. Madam Speaker, Government is current. In other words, Government is now servicing payments on all restructured debt obligations, including the Eurobonds. Madam Speaker, the debt distress and the restructuring process has taught us a bitter lesson. To ensure that we do not repeat the mistakes of the past, we have amended the law to improve parliamentary oversight on public borrowing. We have established the Debt Management Office, responsible for annual debt sustainability analysis, medium-term debt strategies, and credit risk analysis. Madam, to strengthen risk mitigation in our public debt management, we will take a proactive market-based approach. This will involve various debt management operations aimed at optimizing our debt portfolio, as well as supporting development of our domestic market using market-based solutions. On the CDF, Madam Speaker, on the assuming office in 2021, we made the bold decision to enhance the CDF. Since then, the program has become one of the most powerful tools for delivering equitable, inclusive, and sustainable development to our people. Communities all over the country love CDF for obvious reasons. It is delivering development which they've never seen since independence. Madam, we must congratulate ourselves as Zambians for coming up with this novel idea of CDF on our own, which is having so much impact. Madam, since 2022, through CDF, we've built 2,800 classroom blocks, rehabilitated 422 classroom blocks, procured 670,000 desks. To improve access to health care, we've constructed 131 health posts, 195 new maternity annexes, and to provide access to clean and sanitation water, we have drilled 1,941 boreholes, installed 531 water schemes, and built 228 ablution blocks. Madam Speaker, it is very nice that to enhance the education and skills development through CDF, 8,652 secondary school learners have been granted boarding bursaries, and 152,000 youth have enrolled in various skills. This is all happening, Madam Speaker, because CDF is decentralized to every corner of the country. If these monies were dispersed in Lusaka, the person in Liua, the person in Congo, in Katete, in those villages, they would have little chance. So money now has been taken to where the people are. Let's congratulate ourselves for this innovative. Madam, these achievements are more than just numbers on the page. They represent lives that have been changed for a better. Madam Speaker, moving on to monetary policy, this will continue to play a critical role in fostering price stability by steering inflation back to the target band of 6 to 8% for the medium term. We will also continue to strengthen monetary policy framework, including reinforcing the use of kwacha in domestic transactions. The Bank of Zambia has conducted extensive consultation with stakeholders and will issue regulations by the end of this year. The regulations will outline exemptions and will be accompanied by detailed guidelines. On the financial sector, Madam Speaker, the goal is to make the law responsive to the development in both domestic and financial landscape. And this will be done by the revision of the Banking and Financial Services Act. This bill will be tabled before this House during this current session. To enhance financial sector safety, you recall when a bank closes, there's always turmoil in the depositors. To address that, I will table a deposit protection scheme before the end of this, before this House during the current session. Further, the Bank of Zambia will issue banking and financial services deposit protection rules by the end of this year. Under these rules, a fund will be established to pay out deposits up to a specified amount in the event of a bank closing. Madam Speaker, to unlock access to affordable credit, government will continue supporting the de-risking of lending to SMEs through the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme. In addition, Bank of Zambia has made strides toward operationalizing a 5 billion fund to support small businesses. Further, the Credit Guarantee Scheme through commercial banks will continue. On the external sector, Madam Speaker, government will continue to maintain flexible exchange rates, build international reserves, and provide market support to mitigate excessive exchange rate volatility. To support international reserves, Bank of Zambia has so far purchased refined gold worth $322.6 million as at end August 2025. To boost exchange earnings, government will continue with its efforts to diversify exports. Madam Speaker, let me now move on to part 3 of the budget speech, which is the 2026 budget. Madam, I now present the 2026 national budget, whose allocations are in line with the priority programs in the 8th National Development Plan. The allocation also supports the theme that was in the President's speech regarding consolidating our socio-economic gains. Madam, I propose to spend a total of 253.1 billion kwacha, or 27% of GDP. This will be financed from domestic revenues of 206.5 billion. In other words, almost 82% of the budget will be financed by our own efforts. Madam Speaker, grants from corporates and partners will be 12.1 billion, or 4.8% of the total budget, and the balance of 34.5 billion, or 3.7% of GDP, will be financed through domestic and external borrowing. Domestic borrowing is projected at almost 22 billion kwacha, or 2.3% of GDP, while external borrowing is 12.9 billion, or 1.4% of GDP. Let me now present the 2026 budget by functions of government. Madam Speaker, I propose to spend 92.6 billion, or 36.6% of the budget, on general public services. Significant outlays under this category include 52 billion and 22 billion for domestic and external debt services, respectively. So payment on domestic debt, 52 billion, and foreign, 21.7. Madam, you note that the burden of servicing domestic debt at 52 billion is now much higher compared to that of external debt at 21.7 billion. This is risen because between 2015 and 2021, there was an aggressive domestic borrowing program through issuance of treasury bills and bonds between 2015 and 2021. Those bonds are now maturing starting next year. So these instruments are maturing, and hence the big jump in the domestic debt service, particularly in 2026. After that, it tapers down. It is clear, therefore, that the effects of the excessive borrowing during those days are still with us, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've also allocated 1.2 billion for costs relating to the conducting of the 2026 general elections, including other election-related activities. Madam, to continue empowering our local authorities and ensure equitable distribution of resources, have allocated 1.4 billion to the Local Government Equalization Fund. Further, 810 million has been allocated for the Compensation Fund to facilitate payment for court cases won against government. 4.7 billion of 4.7 billion towards dismantling of arrears to suppliers of goods and services. Madam, expenditure proposals under the Economic Affairs I propose to spend 58.6 billion or 23.2% of the budget on economic affairs. Of this amount, 15.5 billion will be for the agriculture, fisheries and livestock sector. This includes with this 15.5, 9.2 billion for the farmer input support program, 2.1 billion for maintaining strategic food reserves, and 764.7 million for animal health services, including what I said earlier on, the implementation of the Zambia beef export program. So 764.7 million for animal health and also to support the Zambia beef export project. Madam, I propose to allocate 14.5 billion for the construction, rehabilitation, and the maintenance of roads, including urban and feeder roads. Madam Speaker, in the meantime, although this I know is not quite adequate, in the meantime, government will continue to construct roads using the PPP model so that cash saved may be deployed on roads that cannot attract PPP funding. Madam Speaker, I propose to increase spending on mining-related activities to 1.2 billion kwacha. Of this amount, 542 million is to continue with the aerial, geological, and geophysical mapping, while almost 500 million is allocated to support artisanal and small-scale mining, mainly for the construction of mineral processing hubs and marketing centers. To operationalize the Mineral Regulation Commission, I've allocated almost 76 million kwacha. Madam, this expenditure is an important investment that will open new doors for yet more mining in our country. In this regard, Zambia is indeed, in the next few years, destined to be an even stronger mining country with an equally strong economy. Madam, I propose to spend 1.5 billion in the tourism sector to improve infrastructure, support wildlife conservation, and tourism marketing, among others. Madam, to continue supporting development at the local level, I propose to increase the allocation to the CDF to 6.2 billion kwacha. This, Madam Speaker, translates per constituency from 36.1 million to 40 million.
Order, honorable members, there is a request, honorable minister, to repeat that question.
to continue supporting development at the local level, I propose to increase the allocation to the CDF to 6.2 million. This translates at the constituency level a rise from 36.1 million to 40 million. Madam Speaker, I propose to allocate 1.1 billion kwacha for developing provincial airports to enhance air connectivity and position Zambia as a regional hub. Madam Speaker, 851.7 million has been allocated to the Zambia Credit Guarantee Scheme, which includes resources for the Sustainable Agriculture Financing Facility. I further propose to increase the allocation for empowerment funds to 588.5 million from 391 million this year. Madam, as I said earlier on, I propose to allocate 500 million kwacha for the establishment of the electricity fund. On education, Madam Speaker, I propose to spend 33 billion or 13% of the total budget on the sector. Of this amount, 2.4 billion is set for free education and 2.3 billion for completion and rehabilitation of school and invest infrastructure across the country. Once approved, these expenditure proposals will consolidate the gains made in the socio-economic sphere. Madam, to enable more students, to enable more students benefit from the loan scheme and access tertiary education, I have allocated 1.4 billion kwacha to the Higher Education Loans and Scholarship Board. This will ensure that students from poor families can be supported. It is at these universities and colleges where the future of our country lies. This is where we produce the engineers, the technicians, accountants that will drive the strong growth of our economy now and in future. You'll be pleased to know that some companies in Zambia have already foreseen a shortage of engineering skills because they are planning ahead, and therefore they have started even to sponsor engineering students. Madam, I've allocated 300 million to the revised national education curriculum so that the learners that we produce are more relevant to the demands of our. In health, Madam Speaker, I propose to spend 26.2 billion or 10.3% of the total budget to support the sector. Out of this, Madam Speaker, 6.4 billion is apportioned to the procurement of drugs and medical supplies. And, Madam Speaker, this expenditure on the procurement of drugs and the medical supplies is an increase of 30% from this year. The increase is to cover the gap that is emerged following the withdrawal of some external support. Madam, I'm happy to hear now and then from colleagues from the health sector that the availability of drugs and medicines, as I said earlier on, has improved. I've also allocated 953.5 million kwacha for maintenance and procurement of essential medical equipment. Madam Speaker, I've allocated 1.7 billion towards health infrastructure development to expand access to healthcare nationwide. Of this amount, almost 250 will be for the ongoing construction of mini hospitals under phase 2 of the project. Under housing and community amenities, Madam Speaker, I propose to spend 3.2 billion on housing and community amenities, of which 1.8 billion is to improve access to safe drinking water, particularly in rural and peri-urban areas. Public order and safety, I propose to spend 9.6 billion to maintain public order and safety. Key interventions will include modernization of our security wings and improvement of infrastructure. This will ensure that Zambia continues to remain a peaceful country where no one fears being harmed by either criminals or political thugs. Madam, to reinforce our fight against corruption, I propose to increase the allocation to law enforcement agencies by 18% to 940.7 million. I also propose to spend 217.8 million to support the implementation of the Integrated National Registration Information System. Under social protection, Madam Speaker, to support our vulnerable people, I propose to spend 15.7 billion on social protection programs. Significant provisions include 7.6 billion for the social cash transfer program and 4.9 billion for pension payments to our retirees. Madam, I propose to increase the allocation for the food security packs to 1.5 billion from 1.2 billion to include more beneficiaries. Other functions, Madam Speaker, I propose to allocate 14.1 billion to the remaining functions of defense, environmental protection, as well as recreation, culture, and religion. Of this amount, 200.6 million is for Chiefs Affairs, which has been increased by 25% to improve the welfare of our traditional leaders. Revenue measures. Madam Speaker, before I present revenue measures, let me remind the nation that it is the responsibility of everyone to contribute money to Treasury through taxation and payment of fees. That is all our responsibility and no one else. Unfortunately, there are still many colleagues, especially those in the informal sector, who do not want to pay taxes. And yet, Madam Speaker, they speak the loudest when it comes to demanding for public services. We cannot keep on increasing taxes on the same people in the formal sector. We cannot keep on taxing teachers, doctors, clerks, accountants, when other people who are making money in the formal sector are not paying anything, but they make the biggest noises when demanding for public services. Some of the tax proposals I will present today, therefore, are intended to claw some money from those who hide from paying taxes. Madam, to enhance domestic resource mobilization and provided targeted relief to spur growth, I propose the following measures. Madam Speaker, to stimulate local manufacturing and value addition, I propose to revise the selected goods surtax and the customs duty on imported steel products, pasta, processed meat, and edible offal. carbon dioxide, flexible PVC pipes, polyester fiber, and float glass. What this means is that all these items, when imported, they'll be more expensive because there are local alternatives that are available that we may support. In addition, Madam Speaker, I propose to remove customs duty on the complete knockdown components. I propose to remove customs duty on complete knockdown components for the assembly of motor vehicles, including tippers, electric vehicles, tricycles, motorcycles, truck trailers, and tractors. Madam Speaker, watch the space because we are doing this so that these items can be manufactured locally in Zambia. Okay, I'll repeat. I propose to remove customs duty on complete knockdown components that are used for the assembly of motor vehicles, which includes tipper trucks, electric vehicles, tricycles, motorcycles, truck trailers, and tractors, so that they get made in Zambia. Madam, micro, small, and medium enterprises must grow. For this to happen, they need our support. I therefore propose to provide tax relief as follows. Increase tax exempt threshold for turnover tax and rental income tax to 2,500 from 1,000 kwacha per month. What this means is that previously, if you earned turnover and the rental income in excess of 1,000 kwacha per month, then you are liable to tax. Now that 1,000 has been shifted up to 2,500. That's when you begin to pay the tax. So it is a relief. The increased turnover tax threshold for artisanal and small-scale mining to 5 million from 800,000 kwacha for the same reasons. And also reduce the penalty for late turnover tax payment to 0.5% from 5%. Madam, I said earlier on that we need to attract investment in the electricity subsector so that we deal with the problem of lack of power. The equipment itself already is there are significant tax incentives, but what remained was once you put the equipment, how do you now, and you begin to generate electricity, how do you transport that electricity from generation to the point where it is needed? So that is a relief now that is being provided of how to transport how to transport electricity from the generating point to the market. So I propose to do the following: provide duty relief for machinery and equipment required for transmission and distribution of electricity. B, to increase the period to 10 years from 7 years in which a business in hydroelectricity generation can claim a refund on VAT incurred on eligible goods before commencement of commercial operations. So with that now, I think the chain is complete. Incentives on generation and also incentives on carrying the electricity from generation to the market. Madam Speaker, I propose to promote investment and value addition in livestock and dairy subsectors. I propose to do the following. Increase custom duty on powdered milk imported for resale and for further processing to 40% and 25% from 25% and 15% respectively. B. Harmonize at 10% the selected goods tax on imported milk, cheese and yogurt. C. Increase custom duty on cheese, yogurt and long life milk to 40% from 25%. D. Remove the 15% custom duty on milk pasteurization machinery. And E. Extend the 2% local content allowance to income earned from value addition to milk, rawhide and skins. Madam Speaker, to support climate resilience and the reduction of green gas emissions, I propose the following. A. Reduce excise duty to 15% from 30% on selected new hybrid vehicles. We are in a situation whereby the hybrid vehicles were being taxed like the normal vehicles. B. Change the valuation of duty for hybrid motor vehicles to specific rates. And C. To address that issue that you chaired on the plastics, I propose to increase. This will be done in several stages. 2026, increase excise duty to 100% from 30% on single-use plastics. Next year, Madam Speaker, the following year, 2027, this excise tax will be again increased so that the costs of using these items increases. And in the third year, the production of these items will be completely banned, because the time that we are giving now, 3 years, is now for people to make adjustments. So next year, that tax 100%, after that some more increment, finally banning of plastics. Madam, I propose the following additional tax measures. A. Harmonize the custom duty on firearms upwards at 25%. In other words, on guns. B. Introduce a 30% extra duty on firearms and ammunition. C. Exclude buses with a seating capacity of 50 and above from presumptive tax and registers them under turnover tax and the income and the corporate income tax. D. Zero rate the supply of mains water for value added tax purposes. In other words, so that we address, as part of the solution to address that gap I spoke about between the cost of producing water and the price at which it is sold. E. Remove 5-year carry-forward limitation period of disallowed interest. And F. The allowable income tax deduction for companies employing persons with disabilities to 2,500 from 2,000. And G. Extend the charge of advance income tax to all remittances. In other words, people who remit funds without paying tax, we had put a tax on the remittances unless they can prove that they've taxed. But what some were doing, they avoided using banks, used other mechanisms, so that tax is now extended to all other mechanisms where people can transmit funds without paying tax. Madam Speaker, I propose to adjust upwards fees, I propose to adjust upwards citizenship fees. Madam Speaker, you've heard in certain places to get a citizen, the amount of fee you pay is hundreds of thousands of dollars. So clearly, those who want to come to Zambia, we believe they must have a strong will to come, because they've seen some honey and milk and honey here. Therefore, we are going to increase the fees. Of course, we welcome them. But this is what we are talking about. So we propose to adjust upwards citizenship fees, visa fees for those countries which must obtain the visa, firearm license fees, and also mobile money levy rates. Please understand me. This tax fees on mobile money is not a tax on the mobile money companies. It's a tax on those who don't want to pay tax, but every now and then they're sending 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 somewhere. Clearly it means they've got money, isn't it? So why should they not pay anything? But the teacher must pay tax, the nurse must pay tax. So these fees are not for the mobile money companies. These are fees targeted at those who do the transactions. Further, I propose to adjust toll fees upwards on all motor vehicles except small and light vehicles and buses. Madam Speaker, on housekeeping measures, I propose to amend the Income Tax Act, the Customs and Excise Act, the Value Added Tax, and the Zambia Revenue Authority Act, and other relevant laws. This is aimed at updating, strengthening, and removing ambiguities. Conclusion, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the past 4 years have been momentous. Madam Speaker, the UPND took over administration of our country at a time when there were serious challenges. Lawlessness reigned as political cadres terrorized citizens and became the law unto themselves, to the extent they could even raid police stations and the police officers would scamper. Elections, Madam Speaker, became rivers of blood. Economic governance was also seriously challenged. Our country was heaped with unsustainable debt against the advice of both local and foreign experts. Utilization of public resources became questionable, in some cases leading to revelations later through investigations and court cases of massive corruption. Madam, where governance is broken down, economic performance is unlikely, and this was the case in our country. Combined with challenges of COVID-19 pandemic, we saw our mining industry collapsing, and so did many other industries. Citizens, especially the weak and those in rural areas, paid a heavy price for the declining economy. This is why the UPND, while in opposition and upon taking over government, this new Dawn administration committed itself to fix the economy and better the livelihoods of our people. And Madam Speaker, this is what we've been doing since 2021, fixing the economy, fixing the country.
Thank you so much for being...
Fixing the economy, fixing the country.
Thank you so much for being...
Was there somebody saying something? Okay. Thank you. Let's silence our phones if they are on, please.
And Madam Speaker, many of the decisions that we made to fix the economy were taken in this House as we deliberated together to improve our economy and push more resources towards the poor. Madam, I stand before you today filled with pride to report that we have now fundamentally transformed the economy in readiness for further economic expansion and greater opportunities for our citizens. The debt burden which had crippled our economy has been eased as we have reached debt restructuring agreements with most of our creditors. New investment in the various sectors have been attracted as investors who once looked away are now choosing Zambia as the land of opportunity. Madam, 5 years ago, who would have imagined that Zambia would be a major exporter of fertilizers when the country was a big importer of the same commodity? Or that this country would have a big steel industry? Or that Mulungu's Textiles, which was almost turned into a shopping mall, would truly come back to life as a factory producing textiles? Or that Tazara would one day come back to life? Or indeed, that mines like Kesiam, Mopani, Kalengwa, and others would come back to life with brand new ones, like cobalt in the Kutumba of the Image. Madam Speaker, farmers are now producing more because of the interventions in this government put in place, such as enhanced e-voucher system and accessibility to affordable loans. Madam Speaker, our children, who are the future leaders, now have the opportunity not only to go to school, but sit in proper classrooms with good desks. Madam Speaker, an unprecedented number of teachers, many of whom, after training, had remained seated at home for 10 years. They were trained for 10 years waiting for a job. Now, Madam Speaker, those teachers are being hired. And as they get hired, they are teaching our children. Madam Speaker, youth are being provided with bursaries. Madam Speaker, this government is not taking away. This government is not taking away meal allowances from students. This government is adding more meal allowances to this country. The quality of education is being improved. Madam, we have transformed the health sector. We have constructed new hospitals, maternity access. We have reduced distances to health facilities because in many constituencies, Madam Speaker, wherever you find a school, there's also a new health facility that has been constructed. So school clinic, this is what, and water. This is what is happening in our country today. Our mothers in remote areas can now deliver in decent maternity wards. We have improved the stock of medicines, and those who steal medicines will come for you. We have recruited thousands of health personnel. The quality of our health services is improving. Madam, we are improving the basic necessities of life. Madam, this transformation is not the achievement of this government alone. This is a testament of the sacrifice of every citizen that worked hard in the markets, in the shops, on the farms, in the mines, in the classrooms, in the hospitals, and many other fields of work. Madam, the work of this government is far from over, but challenges like youth unemployment and poverty cannot be totally eliminated in 4 years. But before the jobs have been created, that's where we have social cash transfer. That's why we've cash for work, to support those who are not getting jobs now. But what is clear, Madam Speaker, is that the decline of the past has been arrested, and the country is now headed in the right direction. The commitment, Madam Speaker, the commitment and the competence demonstrated by this government thus far in reversing a terrible situation to one of hope, that commitment and competence should give everyone hope that the outstanding challenges will be resolved in a similar manner. These achievements are just a stepping stone towards improving the livelihoods of our people. In this budget, Madam Speaker, or rather I would say, Madam Speaker, I thank the people of Zambia for their support. I thank the President for the support. I thank Cabinet for the support. And above all, good leadership. Above all, good leadership. Lastly, Madam Speaker, I thank you, Madam Speaker, and all the MPs in this House. I thank you, Madam Speaker, and all the MPs in this House for standing together to do the good things for our people. It is this House that made the vital changes, like eliminating subsidies on fuel and cutting out other less critical expenditures, so that the money saved can be utilized to introduce free education, increase CDF, increase social cash transfer, introduce cash for work. That, Madam Speaker, is leadership. And I thank the House and all the MPs for this solidarity. Together, we are indeed consolidating economic and social gains towards a prosperous, resilient, and equitable Zambia. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
The honorable members, have we not something different about the honorable Minister of Finance? He doesn't need specs anymore. He's reading without specs. He doesn't need specs anymore. He's reading without specs. Order, honorable members. Order, honorable members. Honorable members, in line with the Standing Order 166-2 of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024, the estimates stand referred to respective committees for detailed consideration. In that regard, the Expanded Planning and Budgeting Committee is expected to submit its report on the estimates to the House by Tuesday, 28th October 2025. However, following a resolution by the House Business Committee at its meeting held on the 24th of September 2025, the House will reconvene for one day on Thursday, 2nd October 2025, to enable the House deal with urgent business in line with the Standing Order 166-4. Her Honor, the Vice President, adjournment. Her Honor, the Vice President, adjournment. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House now adjourns. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the House now adjourns. The question is that the House do now adjourn. Any debate? Is that the House? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House? Any objection? The question is agreed to. The House? Is now adjourned. Is now adjourned.